Welcome to session 5, and this one is different from everything we've covered so far. In the last 4 sessions, we've been working with Copilot as a tool that you use. You ask it something, it responds, you move on. That's powerful, MMs, but it's still you doing the asking every single time, ma'am. Today, we're talking about a different model entirely. We're talking about agents. Agents are AI that you brief once, and then they work for your clients, your prospects, and your community, even when you're in a session, even when you're asleep. Think about your coaching business for a moment. You have clients, you have prospects, you have program participants with questions. You probably have an onboarding process that involves explaining the same things over and over. You have a content strategy that takes hours every week to execute. You have a brand voice that took years to develop. What if you had a team member who knew all of that, all of it, and could handle the repetitive, repeatable parts of your business 24 hours a day in your voice? That's what an agent is. Today, we're going to find them, use them, and understand exactly how to build your first one. Let's go. Before we go deep, let's do a quick reset on what we already know, because agents aren't a completely new concept. They're a more powerful version of something you've already been using. You already know Copilot Chat. You've been using it since session 1. And Chat is brilliant, and it's a smart, capable generalist, like having a very well-read colleague you can ask anything. The catch is it doesn't know your specific business. It doesn't know your coaching program. It doesn't know your onboarding process or your brand voice. You have to bring all of that context every single time you use it. Agents solve that problem. An agent is like chat, but it already knows your business. You've briefed it on your programs, your processes, your voice. So when a new client asks it a question about how your sessions work, it doesn't guess, it knows because you taught it. The third piece of the puzzle is Copilot Studio, which is the builder tool Microsoft provides for creating agents. We're going to talk about that today too. Here's the journey for this session. We start by understanding how to find and use existing agents. Then we go step by step through how to build your own. And by the end, you'll have a plan for your first coaching agent, even if you haven't touched a single button in Copilot Studio yet. That's where we're going. Let's start. Let me share an analogy that makes this instantly clear because you live this every day as coaches. Think about the difference between a generalist coach and a specialist coach. A generalist life coach can help with mindset, relationships, career, health, finances. They're broad and flexible, and they bring great general wisdom to any problem. A specialist executive coach who works exclusively with senior leaders in transition, they go deep. They have very specific tools. Their advice is more targeted, and for that specific situation, they're more useful than the generalist. Not because the generalist is less capable, but because the specialist has exactly the right knowledge for exactly the right context. Copilot Chat is your brilliant generalist. It knows a lot about everything. It can help with almost anything. But if a new client asks it what's included in your 90-day program, it has absolutely no idea. It will either make something up, which is worse than nothing, or it'll say it doesn't know, which isn't useful either. An agent you've built for your coaching business is the specialist. It knows your program, it knows your process, it knows your voice. When a client asks what's included in your 90-day program, the agent pulls from your actual program guide and gives them an accurate, specific, on-brand answer. That's the shift from generalist to specialist, from bringing context every time to having context baked in. This is what makes agents genuinely transformative for a coaching practice. So not just a faster way to do the same thing, but a fundamentally different capability. Before we talk about building agents, let's talk about finding the ones that already exist, because you might have access to pre-built agents right now without realizing it. Here's how to look. Open Copilot at copilot.microsoft.com. In the left sidebar, look for the agents item. It usually has a little robot icon. Click it. What you see next depends entirely on your organization's setup. So if you're part of a larger organization, a corporate coaching program, an executive development company, a consulting firm, your IT team may have already built a library of agents. You'll see them listed with names and descriptions. Browse through them. Each one has a description that tells you exactly what it's for. Click one and start a conversation. You'll immediately notice the answers are more targeted than general chat. If you're a solo coach or a small coaching practice and you open the agent section and see very little, That's completely normal. It doesn't mean anything is wrong. It means nobody has built agents for your specific setup yet. That's exactly what the rest of today is about, understanding how to change that. And here's the mindset shift I want you to take into the rest of this session. If you're sitting there thinking, I don't have any agents, the right question isn't, how do I find them? The right question is, what agents would my coaching business benefit from most? Because by the end of today, you'll know how to answer that, and you'll have the language to either build them yourself or ask someone to build them for you. Let's talk about what Microsoft includes out of the box, because even before you build anything custom, there may be agents already available to you. The first one to know about is the web search agent. This one searches the live internet and gives you current sourced answers rather than responses based on training data that might be months old. As a coach, this is useful for researching trends in your niche, looking up recent studies or statistics, checking what competitors are doing, or getting background on a podcast guest or prospect before a call. If web browsing is turned on in your Copilot environment, you may already have access to this. The second is the work content or SharePoint agent. This one searches across your Microsoft 365 files, your OneDrive, your SharePoint sites, your Teams documents. Ask it to find a specific client resource, locate an old version of your welcome guide, or summarize a document you've stored internally. This is your personal document search assistant. The third, and this one is more relevant if you're part of a larger organization, is an org knowledge agent. This knows about your colleagues, your team structure, and recent internal activity. For solo coaches, this is less relevant, but if you're part of a corporate coaching team, it can be genuinely useful. Here's my honest caveat. What you can actually access depends on your Microsoft 365 license and your organization's IT settings. Not everything I've described will be visible to every coach in this room. If you're on a personal plan or a very small business plan, you may have different access than someone on a full enterprise license. Check with your IT contact, or we'll clarify this together. Let's talk about how to actually use an agent well, because the quality of your results depends a lot on how you engage with it. The first principle is to match the agent to its purpose. An agent is a specialist, so ask it specialist questions. If you have an onboarding agent, ask onboarding questions. If you have a content agent trained on your brand voice, ask it for content. Don't ask your onboarding agent to write a LinkedIn post. It wasn't designed for that, and it'll give you a mediocre answer. The second principle is to be specific and conversational. Don't ask onboarding steps. Ask what a knowledgeable colleague would know. My new client, Sarah, just signed her agreement and paid. She's starting my 90-day executive coaching program. What should she do in her first week, and what should she expect from our first session together? The difference is remarkable. The vague question gets a generic list. The specific question gets an answer that's actually useful for Sarah. And here's something coaches often overlook. Agents support full conversations, just like chat. If the first answer doesn't fully cover what you need, follow up. Can you say more about the first session? Or, she's never worked with a coach before. Is there anything you should add for someone brand new to this? The agent adjusts and expands. Think of using an agent the way you think of working with a well-briefed associate. They already know the context. Your questions can be more direct, more nuanced, and more specific because you're not starting from zero every time. Let's talk about Copilot Studio, because this is the tool you'd use to actually build an agent, and it deserves an honest introduction. Copilot Studio is Microsoft's visual builder for creating custom AI agents. It's point and click, there's no coding required for basic agents, and it's significantly more accessible than most coaches imagine when they first hear build an AI agent. Here's what you do inside Copilot Studio. You give your agent a name and a purpose. You connect it to knowledge sources, your documents, your website, your SharePoint folder. You write its instructions, what it should do, how it should sound, what it should never say, and what to do when it doesn't know the answer. Then you test it with real questions and refine it until it sounds right. When you're happy, you publish it. And it appears in Microsoft Teams or the Copilot Agent section for whoever you've shared it with. That's the process. 4 steps, no code, genuinely achievable for a coach who's comfortable with basic software. So here's the honest caveat I want to give you before you get too excited. Building agents in Copilot Studio requires a specific Copilot Studio license. If you're on a corporate Microsoft 365 plan, check with your IT administrator. If you're on a personal or small business Microsoft plan, check your license details carefully. Access varies. What I don't want is for you to go home, open Copilot, look for Studio, not find it, and feel like you failed. That would be a license or settings issue, not a reflection of your capability. The next 4 slides walk through the building process so that when you do have access, or when you're talking to whoever manages your IT, you arrive at that conversation fully prepared and knowing exactly what you want. Step 1 of building your coaching agent, define the purpose. And I want to spend a real moment on this one because this step determines everything that follows. A vague agent is an unreliable agent. An agent whose purpose is it helps with my coaching business is almost useless because it doesn't know what to focus on, what to decline, or who it's talking to. An agent whose purpose is it answers questions from brand new clients in their first 2 weeks, specifically about how sessions work, how to prepare, what's in the client portal, and what to expect. That agent is focused, useful, and trustworthy. Let's use the client onboarding assistant as our running example for the build steps, because this is the one that tends to deliver the most immediate value for coaches. The first thing you do is name it clearly. Client onboarding assistant tells someone exactly what they're getting before they even open a conversation. Compare that to Jackie's helper. That name tells you nothing. People need to know whether to use the agent from the name alone. Second, define what it covers and what it doesn't. Write a 1 paragraph scope statement, something like, this agent answers questions from new coaching clients about how sessions work, how to prepare, what's included in the portal, and what to expect in the first 2 weeks. It does not handle billing, rescheduling, or sales inquiries. Both sides of that boundary matter, what it covers and what it explicitly does not. Third, think about your audience. New one-to-one clients have different questions than group program participants. Prospects exploring whether to sign up have completely different needs from existing clients in month 3. The clearer you are on who this agent is for, the more precisely you can build it. Step 2, give your agent knowledge. And this is the step that most coaches don't fully appreciate until they see what can go wrong when it's done poorly. Your agent can only answer questions based on what you give it. It doesn't invent, it doesn't guess from general coaching wisdom. It works from your specific documents. So the quality of its answers is directly limited by the quality of those documents. For a client onboarding assistant, the knowledge sources you'd want are things like your welcome guide, your program overview document, your first session prep template, your portal guide if you use one, and your client FAQ. These are the documents that contain the answers your new clients most need. You connect these to Copilot Studio either by pointing it at a SharePoint or OneDrive folder, so it indexes everything in that location, or by uploading specific documents directly. Both approaches work. The folder approach is great when you have a lot of related documents that you keep current. The direct upload approach is better when you want very tight control over exactly what the agent knows. Here's the golden rule, and this is the one that surprises coaches most. When you update your source document, your agent automatically picks up the change on its next refresh. This is genuinely powerful, but it also means that if your welcome guide is outdated, your agent will confidently give new clients outdated information. Before you build, do a quick audit. Open your key documents. Are they current? Are they well structured with clear headings? Are they written in plain text rather than scanned images? If the answer is yes, you're agent ready. If not, update the documents first. Think of it as an investment that pays dividends twice. It makes your materials better for clients and it makes your future agent better for everyone. Step 3 is my favorite because this is where your agent stops being a document search tool and starts being a genuine representative of your coaching practice. This is where you set the instructions and the tone. The instructions block is essentially a briefing you write for your agent. It tells the agent who it is, what it does, how to respond, what it must never do, and how to handle the situations that fall outside its expertise. Let me read you an example for a client onboarding assistant because the specifics matter. You are the client onboarding assistant for my coaching practice. Your role is to help new coaching clients navigate their first 2 weeks. Answer questions about how sessions work, how to prepare, what's in the client portal, and what to expect. Always be warm, encouraging, and specific. New clients often feel nervous, but your job is to make them feel confident and clear. If the answer is in the onboarding guide, use it. If a client seems anxious, acknowledge their feeling before you answer. Never make up program details that aren't in your knowledge source. If you genuinely don't have an answer, say, "That's a great question. Like, please reach out to me directly and I'll sort this out for you right away." Tone, warm, professional, encouraging. Think of yourself as the friendly expert who makes complicated things feel simple. Use the client's first name if they mention it. No jargon. Do you see what's happening in those instructions? The agent has a clear identity, it has a warm, specific tone, it has a guardrail around inventing answers, and it has an escalation path for when it genuinely doesn't know. That last part, the escalation path, is critical. Never leave clients in a dead end. The agent should always know how to hand off to you. Step 4, test, refine, and publish. And I want to be direct with you about this step because this is where coaches are most tempted to rush. The stakes are real. A client who gets a cold, wrong, or confusing answer from your onboarding agent in their very first week is going to wonder what they signed up for. Your agent is representing your practice to your clients when you're not in the room. It needs to reflect your best. Here's the right process. First, test inside Copilot Studio itself. Before anyone outside of you touches the agent, use the built-in test panel. Ask it everything your clients typically ask. Ask it questions you know aren't in the documents, and check that it handles those gracefully rather than making something up. Ask it an edge case. Ask it something a confused or anxious client might ask. See exactly what it does. Second, run a pilot with people you trust. Before your clients see it, have a colleague, a trusted peer, or even a former client test it with real unscripted questions. Give them permission to be honest. Ask, does this sound like me? Is there anything that feels wrong, cold, or confusing? Take every piece of feedback seriously. Update the instructions or the documents based on what you find. Third, publish. Once you're confident in the quality, publish it through Copilot Studio. It can appear inside Microsoft Teams, in your Copilot Agents section, or both. Your IT admin controls the specific publishing settings. And this is the part most people forget, maintain it. Agents are not set and forget. When your program changes, update your documents. When a client surfaces a question the agent handled poorly, update the instructions. A well-maintained agent earns trust, an unmaintained one loses it. Now let's make this very real. Here are 4 coaching agents that would genuinely transform how a coaching practice operates. And I want to spend some real time on these because this is where today gets exciting. The first is the client onboarding agent. This is the one we've been designing through the build steps. It answers questions from new clients in their first 2 weeks, how sessions work, how to prepare, what's in the portal, what to expect. The most powerful thing about this agent is that it's available 24 hours a day. When a new client signs their agreement at 10:30 on a Sunday night and immediately has questions about their first session, your agent is there. You don't have to be. That's an enormous relief for coaches who feel the pressure of being constantly available. The second is the discovery call prep agent. Coaches who do a lot of discovery calls know the prep time involved, researching the prospect, thinking through what they need, preparing tailored questions. A discovery call prep agent trained on your client profiles, your signature questions, and your coaching approach can generate tailored prep notes for any prospect in seconds. You give it a brief description of who you're meeting, and it gives you a focused preparation brief. The third is the content creation agent, and this is the one that coaches find both most exciting and most important to get right. A content agent trained on your brand voice, your content pillars, and your best performing work can generate first drafts that actually sound like you, not like generic AI copy, like you on a good day. The key is the quality of the training materials, your voice guide, examples of your best content, a list of your core ideas and angles. Feed it well, and it becomes a genuine content partner. The fourth is the program FAQ agent. If you run a group coaching program or an online course, you know the volume of questions you get about logistics. What's included? What happens if someone misses a live call? Whether there's a payment plan? Your program FAQ agent handles all of those consistently, accurately, and at any hour, so you can focus on the actual coaching. Let's build a simple decision framework, because this is the question I get most often from coaches who've just learned about agents. How do I know when to use chat versus an agent? Here's the simple version. Ask yourself, Does the answer live in my specific coaching business documents? And does it need to sound like me? If yes to both, that's an agent job. If the task is general writing, brainstorming, or thinking, well, that's a chat job. Let me make this concrete with some coaching scenarios. You need to draft a newsletter or a social post. That's chat, no business specific knowledge required. Chat is brilliant at creative and generative tasks. A new client asks how to prepare for their first session. That's your onboarding agent. Chat doesn't know your process. Your agent does. You want to summarize notes from a client session. That's chat. You paste in the notes, chat reads them and summarizes. You're providing the content, chat just processes it. A prospect asks what's included in your 6-month program. That's your program FAQ agent. Chat would make something up. Your agent knows exactly what you offer. You want to brainstorm a new coaching framework or workshop concept, that's chat. Generative creative thinking is where chat absolutely shines. You want a LinkedIn post in your specific voice and aligned to your content pillars. That's your content agent. Chat will give you something serviceable but generic. Your content agent gives you something that sounds like you. And here's the bridge scenario. You want the result an agent would give, but you haven't built your agent yet. In that case, use chat, but paste in your document first. Paste your onboarding guide into chat and ask it to answer as if it were your onboarding assistant. It's not as elegant as a built agent, but it works, and it's a great way to validate that an agent would be worth building. All right, time to shift gears. We've spent the first part of today building the conceptual foundation. You understand what agents are, how to find them, how to use them, and the 4 steps to building one. Now we get practical. In the next few minutes, we're going to do 3 things. Task 1 is something everyone in this room can do right now. With the Copilot chat you've been using since session 1, no studio license required, you're going to use chat to design your first coaching agent, and you'll end up with a purpose statement, a list of example questions, scope boundaries, and a set of instructions you could hand to any IT person and say, build this. Task 2 is for anyone who has Copilot Studio access available. We'll walk through the actual build together. Like I said, naming knowledge sources, instructions, test. Task 3 is a planning exercise anyone can do. You'll think through all 4 coaching agent types and build a prioritized roadmap. Which agent to build first, what documents you'd need, and what to watch out for. Let's go. Open your Copilot chat and let's start with task 1. Here are your 3 practice tasks. Let's work through them. Task 1 is the one I want everyone to do right now because this produces something genuinely useful regardless of whether you have Copilot Studio access. Paste this prompt into Copilot chat. I am a business coach. I want to build a Copilot agent called Client Onboarding Assistant that helps new clients navigate their first 2 weeks. Help me design it. Give me a clear agent purpose statement in 2 to 3 sentences, 5 example questions it should be able to answer, 3 questions it should not answer to keep it focused, and a short set of instructions about its tone, warm, professional, and on brand for a coaching practice. What you'll get back is the blueprint for your actual agent, the purpose statement, the scope, and the tone instructions. This is 90% of the work of building a good agent, and you can do it in chat right now with no other tools. If you have Copilot Studio access, move to task 2. Open Studio, create a new agent, use the name and instructions from task 1, add 1 knowledge source, your onboarding guide or welcome document from OneDrive, and test it with 5 real client questions. Note what works and what you'd want to refine. Task 3 is the roadmap builder. Paste this prompt into chat. I run a coaching practice. Help me plan which agents to build and in what order. For each of the 4 agent types, client onboarding agent, discovery call, prep agent, content creation agent, and program FAQ agent, give me the top 3 questions it should answer, the documents I'd need to collect as knowledge sources, and 1 risk or challenge to watch out for when building it. This gives you a complete agent roadmap. You'll leave today with a plan, not just an understanding. That's the goal. Before we close out, 3 things I want to make sure genuinely land because everything in your next session builds on these. Number 1, agents are AI team members. Each agent is a specialist you brief once and then it works. Your onboarding agent knows your program. Your content agent knows your voice. Your FAQ agent knows your offering. This is a fundamentally different model from chat, not just faster, but a different capability entirely. Use each team member for the right job. Number 2, plan now, build when ready. You need a Copilot Studio license to build and deploy a real agent. but you can do everything else right now. You can define the purpose, you can write the instructions, you can organize the knowledge sources, you can plan the full roadmap. Arrive at the build phase fully prepared with everything you need already designed. The conversation with your IT team or Microsoft support becomes dramatically more effective when you walk in knowing exactly what you want. Number three, great agents need great documents. Your agent is only as trustworthy as the documents you feed it. If your onboarding guide is outdated, your onboarding agent will give outdated answers with complete confidence. So before you build, audit your key documents. Treat it as an AI readiness check for your coaching practice. And here's your action item before session 6. Identify the question your clients or prospects ask most often, the one you've answered 30 times this month, the one you could answer in your sleep. That question is the seed of your first agent. Write down that question. Write a 1 paragraph purpose statement for the agent that would answer it. That's your homework. That's your first agent. And in session 6, we bring it into your complete AI workflow. Congratulations on completing session 5. You now understand what agents are, not as a vague concept, but as a practical tool you can build and deploy in your coaching practice. You know how to find the agents that already exist in your Microsoft environment. You understand the difference between chat and an agent and when to use each. You've walked through the 4 steps of building a coaching agent: purpose, knowledge, instructions, and publishing. And you've seen 4 concrete agent ideas that would genuinely transform how your practice operates. That is a lot of ground covered, and it sets you up for something important. In session 6, we bring everything together. Sessions 1 through 5 have built your toolkit: prompting, working with your apps, using agents, understanding the system. Session 6 is where you design your personal AI workflow, how these tools fit together in your specific coaching day, what your prompt library looks like, and how you measure the real time you're saving every week. Between now and then, do the homework. Name your first agent, write the purpose statement, pull together the documents it would need. That work takes 30 minutes, and it means you'll walk into session 6 with something real to build on, not just an abstract intention. If you have questions or you hit something unexpected when you try this, write it down, bring it to session 6. That's exactly the kind of specific, real world question that makes those sessions most valuable. Thank you for being here today. You took something that sounds intimidating, building an AI agent, and made it genuinely achievable. I'll see you in session 6.